make this sustainable for us. And this is where Zaina came in and really did some heavy lifting and thinking about how do we turn this into something that's even broader. And so I'm going to hand it over to Zaina so she can tell you a little bit about where she went.
So as Alex mentioned, pre-pandemic, we had a physical passport booklet that looked really similar to what you're seeing on your screen. And she also mentioned how we were all surprised, and also, but a lot of faculty were surprised about how adamant people were about getting their stamps and their stickers for attending workshops. They actually really loved the idea and physicality of taking this book around and saying, "Can I have my stamp, please, or my sticker, please?" And so they really served as motivational tools for our participants. Today's program has exponentially grown. These are all build your own path certificate programs, and some of them have certain requirements, but there are 11 different certificates that allow the participants to build their own path. And this allows the participants to tailor their path through the passport program to ensure that they can develop it to their needs and their goals. To focus in a little bit closer on two certificates to show the difference and what I was meaning by some of them have more requirements than other. On the right is our Great Teaching Certificate, and it is completely build your own. You need 1,000 miles to earn the certificate, and for us, miles are equivalent to points. Whereas the Principles of Holistic Teaching Certificate, there are two, well, depending on which path you take, you can take the first two listed courses here as the core requirement, or any of the CERTL courses that offer a learning through diversity outcome focus. And from there, they have elective activities where they still have some choice in what workshops they take, but they do need to fall within the specific categories of cultural competencies, holistic teaching, or student-focused teaching, to kind of just give you an idea of our two different and extreme certificates, the completely build your own and the build your own within the limitations. And so mentioning categories and badges are used interchangeably because all of our categories are equivalent to a badge. And so we have over 30 badges that participants can choose from. And to get these badges, they have to earn 400 miles. And we do ensure that we revisit all of our workshop offerings every semester. So me, Alex, and some of the other team will schedule a time to look at all the workshops we offered this past semester, and then which ones we want to continue the next semester, or if we want to pause and skip a semester and come back to that. But we try to ensure that we have workshops within each category offered for each certificate requirement. That way, participants can still meet that requirement if they need to meet it. So going from there, we want to take a minute and work with you all to brainstorm some ideas for your own program. Oops, I got click happy, sorry.
But maybe before we do a brainstorm, should we see if there are any questions, Zaina?
Oh yeah, we can pause.
Yeah, we can pause and see if there are any questions. So, I think one of the points that Zaina made that's really valuable is that we really think about this deeply every semester. We understand that each badge is worth those 400 points, and we need to make sure that there's a way for our faculty to earn any of the badges they're working towards every semester. And so we do offer, because of that, we are able to offer a lot of workshops. Now, we don't offer them ourselves. As I mentioned before, we have a lot of faculty experts who are the ones who offer those workshops. And as Zaina said, we give a break sometimes. So we might not do every single workshop every semester, but we do revisit, repeat, and redesign each one to fit the current needs. So as our world changes, we have to really be mindful of that and offer the things that are the most needed with the most frequency. So questions, let's see.
If there are none, I went ahead and dropped the link to the Padlet in the chat.
So what we'd like you to think about some potential themes that you could use in your own professional development programs. So for instance, if you are running a Center for Teaching Excellence, or if you are running an instructional design center, and you're building these professional development opportunities, how can you build in a little bit more thematic excitement around those things? Are there some things that kind of fit together from your unit or shared units that could turn into a theme? And then in conjunction with that, I would like to encourage you to think about who are some of the departments that you could partner with to help grow that, so that it's not solely your expertise that's being captured, but you're really looking at the broad expertise across your campus. Those are two of the things when we were first building the Passport to Great Teaching that we gave a lot of attention to, because it was the only way that we could expand so greatly. And then in order to make sure that we track that, this might be a third area that you'll want to think of is what tools are at your disposal to be able to track the work that you're doing here. I think that's a piece that can be pretty challenging, is how do we, if we have so much variety, how do we track it? So if you aren't familiar with Padlet, you're just going to click the plus sign underneath the brainstorming question that we put here, and you're going to add your comment to it.
We can come back to this as people take the time to fill it out and think about it, because we want you to be able to walk away with some initial thoughts and ideas as to how you may be able to start working on this for your own programs.
Yeah, I think, Zaina, you might want to dive a little bit more deeply into the platform that we use to assign and issue the badges. So for instance, we use Crudly for the badges, but we use Salesforce for tracking.
Yeah,
And
we weren't gonna really touch on that too much with this presentation because it is such a short presentation, and that is a much bigger beast to handle. But when we originally started out, we created a list. I actually have a paper from my original list right next to me, a list of all of the things that we wanted our tool to be able to do. And we just happened to be meeting with our Salesforce IT representative. And I was like, oh yeah, we're looking for this tool if you have any thoughts. And he was like, Salesforce can actually do this for you. And so our program is very custom, as what you can tell from the previous slides, where participants can choose where their workshops apply to within the category and the certificate. And so we are looking into other platforms as well to see if there is more flexibility in other platforms. But so far, Salesforce is kind of the head runner in that game. We've been using it since we originally built the program in 2018. Or no, sorry, we started in 2019. We built the program in 2018, implemented Salesforce in 2019 because trying to do it in Canvas was insanity. Just wanted to hop over and see if anyone. Yeah, Elizabeth, and that's why we had to get something, because we only had 2 certificates in the beginning and maybe a dozen badges, and I was already pulling out my hair from insanity trying to manage all of that. And that was just the very first semester of the program, and we only had, probably 50 faculty that were participating at that point.
And Liz, you mentioned curious as to ways to add a theme to a program that has already been around for a while. We just recently did that, actually. We had one of our staple programs was called the First Year Faculty Teaching Academy, and we realized that that name deterred some people who found enormous value from that program, and we had to rename it. And so we renamed it T, and we played on that a little bit. We had a lot of fun with the acronym T, Teaching Excellence Academy. And I think that actually went, pretty smoothly. It was we took some time to rebrand it and to do some socializing of that rebrand, and it went really well. So we just, we rebranded it. We're going to make some edits to it this summer, and we'll use the new name and do a second round of socializing, rebranding to kind of talk about the changes and improvements to the program. Yeah.
Keep us moving just because we are getting close to time.
Yeah.
And so, as we've already kind of discussed a little bit, we issue the credentials through Credly. So participants can add this to their LinkedIn, because we do have like the electronic version of our badge and our certificate through Credly. And so they have that they can add to LinkedIn, but they can also add it to their CV or to their tenure and promotion packet. And this really is just a way to showcase that they are committed to improving their teaching. Okay, so this is a quote from one of our participants. So they said, "I learned a lot about how to manage my classroom and improve interactions with students. I feel more confident about having a student-centered approach to teaching." And so this quote kind of embodied the real world applicability and the impact that the Passport program can have on a participant. This program not only enhances teaching skills, but it also recognizes and motivates our faculty. And by demonstrating their commitment to professional development, our faculty members are better equipped to provide that high quality education that our students expect at the University of Florida.
And this is the one comment we pulled, but we've had a number of people who we consider like the rock star educators who have come to us and said, this was so transformative. It was the single most transformative thing to my teaching. And when I think of things like that, it's really encouraging, and it really gives us motivation too, to really think about how can we continue to improve, build our own programs, take this theme and move it further, give more opportunities for recognition and growth. And yes, we open it to your questions. We know that these are time limited, and we have a second group coming in right after us.
You're muted, Susan.
There are a few minutes if anybody's got any questions or comments. Now's probably the time.
I have to show our next slide because it has our awesome group picture on it. And then our contact information is in that last slide, and I can put it in the chat if anyone is interested as well. Feel free to reach out to me. I have, much more free time than our director, Alex, does, but you can reach out to either of us and we're happy to answer any questions. Yes, Deborah.
So I am all for a good theme. I think it can take you a lot of places. So I think that kind of passport idea is really great. And you talked about how, and I apologize because I had missed the first few minutes, but you talked about how you have sort of added those badges. Have you ever had to kind of cycle anything out or find anything that like, well, this isn't working, or, or it's not getting the, the traction or anything like that?
Over the past few years, we've had to
cycle
out.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alex.
No, for reasons that have come down from our state and federal requirements, we've had to make some shifts in what we have, and we've adjusted that. It does not mean that we take those badges away from people who've earned them. It's just, we have to change our content, and that aligns with what we do anyway, which is to revise everything that we do every semester to make sure, when AI came along, or when the pandemic came along, we had to add things that were reflective or teaching, beyond the four walls of the classroom or the four corners of your screen, So we've always been really thoughtful about regularly considering what the current needs are and what the current what our current limitations are. We do offer other incentives beyond badging, and really creating a culture that is, that breaks down silos and creates collaborative opportunities. One of the things that we work in collaboration with is our tenure and promotion committee, making sure that things like the passport to great teaching are actually in the metrics for tenure and promotion. So, that's a significant piece. And then the second thing that we really work hard to do is recognize that work through our annual teaching awards at the university. So, like many of you probably have, we have college Teacher of the Year awards, University Teacher of the Year awards, and then we have more specific awards that recognize newer faculty who are kind of what we call Rising Star Awards, and then online teaching awards that are specific to different categories that we've identified and defined. So those awards are pretty significant. Some, not all, come with a monetary or a financial benefit, but all of them come with significant recognition and added value. So they really matter at our university.
And a quick addition to that, as Alex mentioned, we do evaluate everything that we offer, generally once a semester. I wanted to add, we generally over the course of the summer also take the time to look and see if that's when we look and see if there's like a new badge or a new certificate that we should integrate into the program. So like our AI certificate is fairly new because AI all of a sudden, just kind of exploded everywhere, and there was enough offerings to go around for us to create that AI and teaching and learning certificate. So we typically try to add, a new certificate, new badge every single year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Zaina and Alex. We really appreciate the presentation. And now we have our second presentation. I think everybody's here. Our second presentation